Dia on-kan audio. Baru dengar.
Yang bunyi ni masuk tak?
Tak, ini kau dah masuk dalam Zoom kan? Dah
Ah.
ambil kedap kan?
Tak.
Dah.
My. Oh,
Tak, sekarang
so ni saya
Tak, kau punya mic tak payah on.
tak payah on kan?
Sini dia on.
Tes, 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 tes,
Tol,
tes,
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 tes, tes, tes. Ah, oke ada, oke ada, oke ada. Iya dah, iya dah, tes. Iya, 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 iya. Dah keluar dah, tak bergema, tak bergema, tak bergema. Ada, try, 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 tes, 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 tes. Yalah, yalah, main lah, aku main lah, aku main. Oke, aku dah 50, dah 50, dah 50. Oke, 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 tes, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, mili, basic, positif, positif, positif. Oke, ini, ini, ada. Gaung lagi, 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 gaung lagi. Double voice, baik, punya, ya, baik, punya, baik. Oke, aku tes, baiknya tu laptop tu. Dengar, okey, okey, kejap, kejap, bosan ikut, tes, okey, 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 sama juga, speaker, Testing, 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 testing. Things are doing testing, 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 testing. Test, 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 testing, testing. Tak, aku nak bisa ni. Tak, aku nak bisa ni.
That's right. 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 Let's
testing. Cakap. Penuakan di depan. Jadi imam. Berapa kerat dia? Berapa kerat dia? Semuanya.
Welcome everyone. Please have a seat. Welcome to. You want you in front. Dipersilakan Prof. Rahman masuk. Adik-adik, kakak-kakak, mak penting kat tu, dah masuk dah duduk. Sebelum kita start officially, kita ambil share. Welcome Prof. Salimah. Sila duduk. Welcome to ISTAC everyone. Azmi, sila ke depan. Kak Amir, Kak Afai. Welcome. Dr. Lily, come in front. Dr. Anwar. Prof. Murni, disilakan ke depan. Your special seat here. Yes. Ini. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Everyone. Those who are still in the banquet hall, can you please come to the main hall now. We will start. Some housekeeping announcement. Make sure your phones are either switch off or in silent mode. And for emergency purposes and all that, we have 3 doors. Are open. Okay, our masjid Ibadah is always 9. So later, for Zuhur, then just go out. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri yassir li wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Alhamdulillah, segala puji bagi Allah kerana dengan izinnya kita dapat berkumpul pada pagi yang berbahagia ini di dalam KICT Ibadah pada 020. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad dan salam ke atas junjungan besar Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I am Nur Azian. For those who don't know yet, I will be your master of ceremony today. May Allah bless our gathering. Datuk, Datin, Prof, brothers, sisters, Muslimin, everyone here. Welcome to KICT Ibadah Camp 2000. Let us begin our program with national anthem, Negara, and IUM. I kindly invite everyone to stand.
Let's lead the way, lighten the future, share the wisdom to the spirit of Islam. Revelation and reason, we shall excel, we shall prevail. Merging faith and knowledge, we the Khalifa, we will fulfill the amanah. Together, we make the world a better place. Forever, expand the culture of Iqra. IUM is to realize
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you. As we start our event, let us seek blessings from Allah. I would like to invite Crown lead the recitation of Dua.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الحمد لله الوارث والكافي والحمد يا رب الوجه الكريم ولعظيم سلطانه اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم جميع الأقوال والأعمال وتقضي لنا بها جميع الحاجات وتطهرنا بها من جميع السيئات وتبلغنا بها أقصى الغايات من جميع الجهات بعد الماء وعلى آله ربنا تقبل منا بالقدس وتب علينا ربنا ظلمنا وقصرنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين ربنا عليك توكلنا وإليك أنبنا وإليك المصير ربنا اغفر لنا إنك أنت الغفور الرحيم ربنا لا تؤاخذنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا وعلى الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. Ya Allah, none has tried to worship but you. We seek your forgiveness and to you to communicate. Ya Allah, grant us good and good in the life to keep us safe from the fire. Ya Allah, ask you favor. Guard us from the accused confusion. Ya Allah, by our time, our heart, our soul, continue, and our balance. Ya Allah, guide us. Ya Allah, bless us, Lord. Who understand? Ya Allah, give us greater understanding of your and help us Ya Allah, guide the members to the right way and make this Ibadah camp and the success. Ya Allah, support the organizer to lead this meeting and to keep them disciplined and patient which they need. اللهم اجعل اجتماع على هذا الاجتماع مفهوما وتقبل فوقنا من بعد ربك المرسوم ولا تجعل فينا ولا معنا شقيا ولا محروما ربنا لا تدع لنا ذنبا الا غفرته ولا هما الا فرجته ولا كربا الا نفسته ولا دينا الا قضيته اللهم بارك لنا في كليتنا وفي جامعتنا ووفقنا جميعا لما تحب وترضى وصل اللهم وسلم وبارك وعلى
Jazakallah khair. Now it is my pleasure to invite our Dean, Prof. to deliver his speech.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, we welcome ourselves to our country day. Country, think that you have time for it to get. I don't know. So, the Bumudin, when out, with me, when you are president, you are also president. Then, and our control. And I like to welcome in lain yang ISTAC dari distinguished aura, building. Yeah, the first time I came here, I told myself, "This is the place I want to work." Inshallah, one day I'll be able to come and work here. Because wherever you go to the big ministry, Oxford, Cambridge, okay, but not so much MIT, because they don't have proper effort. Yeah, I remember my granddaughter, 7 years old. I thought I want to go to Oxford. Yeah? When we visited every England, I want to go to Oxford. My teacher said, "The best university." But I was shocked. I go, "It's not." So I brought her to, of course, the moment to step in, and step in Lake, to be clever. Just like coming to here, you feel spiritual. But too much for you to absorb it. So it's more. More for the aura, the intellectual, spiritually, is too big. And the damu. I just know that that's why he's so clever. I think that's supposed to be the aura. Yeah. You are going to be intellectual. That's knowledge, experience. So the result, Sheikh, yeah. Lawyer, professor, I was told, really, so, ibadat, yet, dalam, stop, for one, and dealing student, flag, you know, and to go line, no, yeah, essential, what is our my thought. This I need to know. No. Not say, but keep all of that. Anyway, so yeah, just to find life, not member of she knowledge I wonder who had when we read of those how comes your knowledge and ada transform boy the whole that is the I was and so it's different Very different, 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 very different. I tell you, three baggage, three baggage, three baggage, three baggage, very short, very short, very short, very short. So everyone, you go to Oxford, Oxford, yeah, also, and one thing, Islam, unity, what sure that we are not hopefully, idea, one of the greatest ummah, but not yeah. Again, military. Before. Unity, but not uniform is the idea. Won't thinking, the brain. So in practice, in Shura, and the affair decided in practice, to learn with humility, speak with sincerity, and something should use the intellect, wherever you are, time, get it. This is not other than but a spiritual discipline. It's a wajib to do shura. It's a commandment of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. You do shura with God, with the war. Yeah. And so we protect our heart from ego and suspicion. Yeah. Anything we want to do may be of concern to the kuliah, I think we should discuss. Discuss together so that there will be no suspicion, no envy, not only that, the law and the guidance and the rahmah from the two, because it is Allah. May KICT continue model this unity. Do shura other in sincerity, collaboration for the betterment of the planet. That is the KU, Kuliah United, not MU, yeah, Manchester United. KU, Kuliah United. We go together as a KU, yeah. We unite to our Kuliah. And also we will be followed by our Patron Day, where we honor the excellence of us. Okay, following this ritual retreat, we enter the Patron Day, where the meaning of Patron is honoring. And today we recognize the dedicated member of our KICT family, be it academic, social, commitment, innovation is indeed we have honor children of Adam. So this divine recognition is not based on title, rank, sincerity, and a strong ICT, a strong word. We stand today as part of the Kuliah that's blessed, delight, that will be inspiration, but we must also strive to be a Kuliah that reflect Tauhidic consciousness, taqwa, people, governance, and should especially wherever I go, they say I'm too lenient. I need, although that at the end of the day, you want to have your children update and not. Yeah. Until then, you can help themselves, at least to stand. Within the authority and power of vision that I am. Sometimes the student feel to stop. In the final year, stop. There are a few cases for ask for the that was tergantung buat dulu program deferment, yeah, or some people leave. Okay? We go back 1 or 2 years and then okay, one thing I want to do. Here they only have 1 or 2 subjects, yeah, to be graduated, yeah, then suddenly decided. So I think a key example of issue trying to become they just look at the life 6 months they came back they want to complete the something. I remember in when I'm a graduate is my friend program now. He finished his 2nd year. Then he said, I want to stop. I want to go on. So he came back. A year after that, I saw him back to the university. He decided to go back to university. Yeah? The same thing. Also, you are young and we can go. So I will get to be value to me. Understand? So let us continue to build the ICT and excellent knowledge, innovation, anchor in other unity and God consciousness of God. A KICT produces not just graduate, but Khalifa ready to serve. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Prof. Tengku, for the inspiring many words. Thank you very much. Let us continue with the recitation of Al-Maqturat. We'll make this short. Yeah, I invite Dr. Aznan, yeah, to lead the Al-Maqturat recitation. Okay, we will have the Al-Maqturat on screen. You can also use your phone because we have submit to the digital format. And I believe we also have a small booklet. Tafadhal, Dr. Aznan.
So just some background about the kind of Al-Maqsurat is a plural writing from the singular Maqsurah. So If we say something that is maksud, that means it is originating from the Quran or the Sunnah. This is the compilation of the verses of the Quran and the Quran from the Hadith, which has been compiled by for our So there are two versions. One is the morning version. It's read in the morning, and the other one is the afternoon version, which is read after Asar. So if you refer to the KICT booklet provided by the community, you have two versions mentioned there. We will read the morning version. Okay, and there is also actually two versions. This is the small or short version. There is also the big version or the overall. So for today, because of our time, we will read the short version. And some of the zikir is read 3 times, but we will read it 1 time. So ours is the express short version. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك بالآخرة هم يوقنون أولئك على هدى من ربهم وأولئك هم المفلحون الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض لا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي ومن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها والله سميع عليم الله ولي الذين آمنوا يخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور والذين كفروا أولياؤهم الطاغوت يخرجونهم من النور إلى الظلمات أولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وإن تبدوا ما في أنفسكم أو تخفوه يحاسبكم به الله فيغفر لمن يشاء ويعذب من يشاء والله على كل شيء قدير آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد لم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. أصبحنا وأصبح الملك لله والحمد لله لا شريك له لا إله إلا هو وإليه النشور. أصبحنا على فطرة الإسلام وكلمة الإخلاص على دين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى ملة أبينا إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين. اللهم إني أصبحت منك في نعمة وعافية وستر فأتم علي نعمتك وعافيتك وسترك في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما أصبح في نعمة أو في أحد من خلقك فمنك وحدك لا شريك لك فلك الحمد ولك الشكر. يا ربي لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد نبيا ورسولا. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من أن نشرك بك شيئا نعلمه ونستغفرك لما لا نعلمه. اللهم إن أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الهم والحزن وأعوذ بك من العجز والكسل وأعوذ بك من الجبن والبخل وأعوذ بك من غلبة الدين وقهر الرجال. اللهم عافني في بدني اللهم عافني في سمعي اللهم عافني في بصري. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الكفر والفقر. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من عذاب القبر لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم أنت ربي لا إله إلا أنت خلقتني وأنا عبدك وأنا على عهدك ووعدك ما استطعت. أعوذ بك من شر ما صنعت. أبوء لك بنعمتك علي وأبوء بذنبي فاغفر لي فإنه لا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد عبدك ونبيك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما عدد ما أحاط به علمك وخط به قلمك وأحصاه كتابك. وارض اللهم عن ساداتنا أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن الصحابة أجمعين وعن التابعين والتابعين بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير. تولج الليل في النهار وتولج النهار في الليل وتخرج الحي من الميت وتخرج الميت من الحي وترزق من تشاء بغير حساب. اللهم إنا نسألك لسانا راتبا بذكرك وقلبا مفعما بشكرك وبدنا حينا لينا بطاعتك. اللهم إنا نسألك إيمانا كاملا، نسألك قلبا خاشعا، نسألك علما نافعا، نسألك يقينا صادقا، ونسألك دينا قيما، ونسألك العافية من كل بلية، ونسألك تمام الغنى عن الناس. وهب لنا حقيقة الإيمان بك حتى لا نخاف ولا نرجو غيرك ولا نعبد شيئا سواك. واجعل يدك مبسوطة علينا وعلى أهلنا وأولادنا ومن معنا برحمتك ولا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين ولا أقل من ذلك يا نعم المقيم. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد النبي الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم إن هذا الإدبار ليلك وإقبال نهارك وأصوات روحك فاغفر لي. اللهم إنك تعلم أن هذه القلوب قد اجتمعت على محبتك والتقت على طاعتك وتوحدت على دعوتك وتعهدت على نصرة شريعتك. وثق اللهم رابطتها وأدمتها وأدى سبلها وأملأها بنورك الذي لا يخفى واشرح صدورها بقيد الإيمان بك وبجامل التوكل عليك وعن قيام محبتك وأنت على الشهادة في سبيلك إنك نعم المولى والنصير. اللهم آمين وصلى الله عليه محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم الحمد لله.
Dr. Aznan for the beautiful recitations. Let's make niat that we can recite Al-Maqturat every day on our own, inshallah. Okay. So now I invite our speaker who is already here, who is home. Her home is here. Dr. Nurul Ain binti Norman from ISTAC to deliver lecture 1, which is title. Where is the title? All right. There, yeah. How to overcome ethical problem based on education. Welcome, Dr. Nurul Ain. Okay, while she is preparing, let me introduce her officially to all of you. Dr. Nurul Ain Norman is a dynamic academic leader, educator, civilizational thinker whose work spanned the intersection of Islamic philosophy, education, ethics, and multidisciplinary research innovation. Previously, she served as the head of research, innovation, and development at ISTAC. Here, she plays a strategic role in transforming the research culture of the institute, guiding scholars in aligning their work with global standards, and nurturing an intellectual ecosystem that integrates traditional Islamic knowledge with contemporary academic rigor. With a distinguished academic journey that includes a PhD in Islamic thought from the University of Malaya and graduate training in Iran, Moffitt University and Fardowsi University, Dr. Nurul Ain Intellectual Foundation is uniquely transnational, and deeply rooted in classical Islamic scholarship. Her research contributions range from Islamic and Western philosophy, philosophy for children, Tawhidic epistemology, to curriculum reform, civilizational renewal, and educational technology. Her interdisciplinary strength is exemplified through her publications in Q1 and Scopus Index Journal, editorial roles in academic journals such as Al-Shajarah, and her leadership in editing volumes like Islamic Worldview, Tawhidic Epistemology, and Civilization, addressing humanity's predicament. It's a long read, yeah, but I'll stop now. Yeah, let's welcome Dr. Nurul Ain. Yeah, welcome to ISTAC, not new to you. Yeah, welcome to ICT. Okay, let's have our first lecture.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته Alhamdulillah, all praise due to Allah, the knowing, the all-wise. Blessings and peace be upon him. To our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the teacher of humanity and the walking embodiment of the Quran. اللهم افتح قلوبنا بالحق وطهر نياتنا واجعل علمنا طريقا إليك. O Allah, open our hearts to truth, purify our intentions, and make our knowledge a path to you. And before I begin, allow me to express my heartfelt thanks to the moderator and I didn't see the master ceremony, but maybe both, for the kind introduction and smooth coordination. My sincere gratitude goes to KICT for the honor of this invitation. And a special thank you to the Dean, Honorable Professor Tunku Muhammad, for his leadership and gracious welcome. May Allah bless your efforts in nurturing knowledge with purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, respect leagues and seekers of truth. Let us begin with a verse from the Quran, a verse that should shake us awake and make us reflect deeply on why we learn, why we teach, and who we are becoming. يعلمون ظاهرا من الحياة الدنيا وهم عن الآخرة هم غافلون. They know only the outward appearance of the worldly life, but of the hereafter they are heedless. This is Surah Ar-Rum, verse number 7. And this verse is not about those who are uneducated. It is about those who are intelligent but disconnected, and those who master the dunya but they forget the akhirah, and those who are clever in exams, sharp in debates, but absent in sincerity, in humility, and in taqwa. And this is precisely why we need to talk about this topic today. Because today, in our families, our schools, in our institutions, we are witnessing a painful truth. Parents are highly educated, yet homes are filled with stress, with shouting and emotional neglect. Spouses knows their own rights in faith, but forget about mercy, forget about patience, and forget about communication. And students win competitions, but lose compassion. And leaders manage systems, but fail to lead with heart. And we have information, but not always transformation. And we are trained to speak, but not always to listen. And we excel in technology, but we often struggle with character. And this is the crisis of a soulless education. And this is what we must begin to heal together. And today, we ask, how actually do we restore the missing link between knowledge and ethics? And how do we raise graduates who can build homes, not just businesses? And how do we prepare students who can lead with trust, not just with tools? And the answer lies in returning to education that is rooted in Tawheed, rich with adab, and filled with meaning. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, let's take a moment not to think about work, not about KPIs, not about deadlines, not about emails left unread, not about who gets the credit, but about what happens when no one is actually watching us. And whether you are a lecturer, whether you are a lecturer actually preparing for a lecture, or a staff processing a student's appeal, a cleaner wiping a floor, or a security guard watching over the campus at night, for instance, whether you realize it or not, you are making ethical choice. And what I mean here, what does that mean by making ethical choice? It means choosing honesty over convenience. We are choosing truth over silence and integrity over shortcuts, and fearing the displeasure of Allah more than the judgment of the people, even when no one will ever know. And the reality is, even when no one is watching, Allah is watching us. And Allah watches you when you could cut corners, but choose the harder, the honest way. And Allah watches when you are exhausted, but still speaking gently to a colleague or a student, for instance. And Allah watches you hold back gossips for the sake of preserving someone's dignity. Allah watches you when you cry in your sujud, asking for strength to do the right thing. And Allah watches when your heart wants to give up, but you keep going because you remembered Him. And that is the beginning of the real taqwa, living as if Allah is near, because He is closer than your own jugular vein. And so today, as we talk about ethics and education, let it not just be about rules and about systems, but about hearts that are attached to the Quran and to the one who sees them sees us in every moment and in every choice. We live in a world obsessed with stability. Likes, shares, awards, publications, recognitions, but Allah sees the unseen effort, the hidden intentions, the silent sabr. He sees the tears wiped in solitude, the prayers whispered behind the closed doors. He records the honesty that cost you success and the kindness you gave when your own heart was breaking. And the question we must ask ourselves is this: is my work, my knowledge, my words, my decisions bringing me closer to Allah or further away? And is what I do every day actually polishing my heart or hardening it? And is my knowledge drawing me into humility or into pride? Let me share a story. This is a real story, not from a book, not from a classroom, but from my own life. So there was an old woman, once I knew. She was 94 at the moment when, at that time when I met her. She had a hunched back and very fragile body and gentle voice. But what lived inside her was something far greater than physical strength. She was the one who washed the dead bodies, quietly, faithfully, with full dignity. Now I want to remind, she's 94 years old, and she was the one who washed his janazah in the masjid. So while the world rushed around her, chasing recognition and rewards, she quietly served Allah, washing bodies that could no longer speak, no longer move, but were still honored in the eyes of the Creator. And one day, I saw her struggling after washing the body of one of my friends that passed away, and I offered to walk her home. Her back was bent, but her spirit was stood tall. And I remember how she told me stories of the bodies she has washed, the lives she had witnessed in death, and the lessons they taught, not from books, but from the janazas, and not from theory, but from touching the silence of the grave with her own two hands. And she once told me, some bodies are light, and you can feel the peace, and others are heavy, as if the soul is restless. And I would just sit beside her, speechless, because she was teaching me something no university ever could. One day I sat quietly with her in her home, and someone knocked on the door, urgently needing for help to wash one of the janazah. And this 94-year-old woman, without hesitation, rushed to answer the call, and she stumbled, she fell in the toilet, but she got up. She kept moving because she believed when Allah calls you to serve, you answer, no matter what it cost. And she reminded me of what real education looks like. Not the kind that gives you titles, but the kind that gives you purpose. Not the kind that fills your resumes, but the kind that fills the hearts. And I was with her until she died 96. She was 96 when she had her final breath. And I saw something remarkable. Even in her last moments, Allah tested her not to break her, but to raise her, to purify her, to bring her closer. And while the people around her fought over her gold, her money, and all that, she had already given everything of herself to the dead, to the forgotten, to the rough. And because that woman, unseen by many, unknown by most, had something many of our highly educated circles are missing: ikhlas, adab, responsibility, tawheed. She lived what it means to be educated by Allah. No degrees, no titles, but she carried the ethics of the heart, the knowledge that transforms, the kind of ilm that prepares you for the grave, not just for the job. And that is the soul of education. And that is what we are losing today. We teach facts, but we don't teach people how to carry trust. We teach leadership, but not humility. And we teach about death, but we don't prepare. That old woman, may Allah grant her the highest place in Jannah, was the reminder I needed, and maybe you do too, that true education is not what you know, it's how you live. It's what you carry to the earth. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, in Islam, ethics does not begin with human standards. It begins with Allah. It begins with Tawheed, the belief in the oneness of God. But Tawheed, as we usually hear, is not just a belief we recite. Tawheed is a worldview. What does it mean by a worldview? It is the way of seeing, of knowing, of living, and of working. And what does that mean? Tawheed is not just in your salah. It should be present when you're cleaning your floor and in your home, you're marking scripts after examinations, writing a policy paper, writing papers, raising a child, or even replying to an email. And it is the lens, like this spectacle, it's the lens which we interpret reality. From science to ethics, from finance to relationships, from your lab work to your family obligations. When we say we follow something that we usually hear, Tawhidic epistemology or Tawhid itself, we're saying, I believe that all knowledge belongs to Allah. It comes from Him, and it must lead me coming. We always hear in that and that this transform how we relate to knowledge. Knowledge is not neutral. It's never just data. It carries weight because we are accountable for how we use it. It carries purpose to serve creation and honor the creator. It carries consequences because misused knowledge can misguide, can oppress, can destroy. To seek knowledge without Allah, to teach without remembering Him, to write, to speak, to publish, to supervise, or lead without humility before Him is like walking a path lit by ego, bright at first, but leading to nowhere. And this is what happens when knowledge is separated from Tawheed, and we produce experts without mercy, academics without sincerity, and leaders without aman. And the Quran warned us of such people. يعلمون ظاهرا من الحياة الدنيا وهم عن الآخرة هم غافلون. And they know only the outward appearances. As I said, I repeat this verse of this worldly life, but they are heedless of the hereafter. They know, but they don't follow. They learn, but they do not transfer. We learn, but we don't. It's us. We learn, but we don't transfer. And do you remember the first word of the Quran revealed by the Prophet, by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Read in the name of your Lord who created you. Not read from your degree, not read from your name, not read for the people, but read in the name of the Lord. And this is why every pursuit of knowledge must begin with Bismillah. In the name of Allah, not in the name of career, as I say, not in the name of fame, not in the name of status, not personal glory. Because when knowledge is grounded in Tawheed, in the oneness of God, it becomes light. It softens the heart. It humbles the soul, and it draws us closer to the one who gave us the ability to learn in the first place. But when we remove Tawheed, knowledge becomes a weapon, a tool for pride, a ladder for dunya, and instead of lifting us, it blinds us. And so ask ourselves, remind your students, your children, your colleagues, is my knowledge drawing me closer to Allah or further away? Am I learning to serve or to be served? Am I walking in light or walking in pride? Because Tawheed is not something you teach once. It is something you live every day. It is not only in the Aqidah class. It is now how you mark papers, how you speak, for instance, to a janitor, or how you submit your reports, and how you make your daily decisions. And this is the heart of Tawheed. And that is how we restore the ethics of our education, not just with rules, but with remembrance to the Creator. وَقُلْ اعْمَلُوا فَسَيَرَى اللَّهُ عَمَلَكُمْ وَرَسُولُهُ. And say, do right His work for Allah. You will see your deeds, and so will His. Let every email we write, every lesson we teach, every task we complete be something that we can answer for it with peace on the day we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, in the time, let me remind you of a woman, of a queen who lived in an imaginable darkness. Who is this? I'm talking about Asiya, the wife of the Prophet. So I want to talk about something that is beside you, and we rarely look at it, right? We rarely even read nowadays. When we were in school, we used to read it, but nowadays, I don't think maybe in a week you read it, you don't apply it in daily life. It's something that is magic. It's from the sky to the heaven. So this is I'm talking about Asiya, the wife of Fir'aun, and she lived in a palace filled with gold, but also filled with tyranny, arrogance, and falsehood. Every day, she saw her husband, Fir'aun, declare, what did he say? فَقَالَ أَنَا رَبُّكُمُ الْأَعْلَى. I am the Lord, the Most High, Fir'aun said. And she witnessed the murder of innocent children. She heard the cries of mothers where babies were taken. She saw her nation drowning in injustice. And yet, what did Asiya do? Her heart remained untouched by the prison around her. She hid her faith. She nurtured her soul, and she believed in the Lord of Musa, the Lord of the oppressed. And when she could no longer hide, when her secret was discovered, she was tortured, beaten by the very people who served her. But even then, her heart didn't break. It rose, it soared. And in the midst of that pain, she raised her eyes to the heaven. And what did she say? ربي ابني لي عندك بيتا في الجنة ونجني من فرعون وعملي ونجني من القوم الظالمين. My Lord, build me a home near you in paradise and save me from Fir'aun and his deeds and save me the wrongdoing people. Imagine that. Imagine she asked not for the pain to stop, but to be near to Allah. And she didn't ask for her crown to come back, and she didn't ask for a home with Allah but she asked a home with Allah in paradise. Her environment did not define her ethics. Her suffering did not destroy her dignity, and she reminds us that you can be ethical even in the most corrupt systems, and you can stand for truth even when surrounded by falsehood. You can choose Jannah even when the world offers you the palace. But here is the question, and what was it? The question is, who are we putting as our Rabb today? Asiya lived under the shadow of a man who claimed that I am the Lord, the Most High, but she refused to let power, to let wealth, fear to take the place of Allah in her heart. Now ask yourself, are we placing status, our Lord, career as our Lord, deadline, grades, and bosses, institutions, wife, husband, children as our ultimate authority? Who are we obeying when no one is watching? And who do we fear more, the Creator or the creation? Because every day, in silent ways, we too are answering the question, who is your Rabb? And that question will be questioned. That will be the first question that will be questioned when we go under. Who is your Rabb? And let us not be fooled by titles, by gold, by palaces. Let us choose like Asiya, a house of Allah, not a kingdom that takes us. And in the Quran, Allah, as I said, has honored her story. And this is the only woman whose women are directly quoted by Allah in this way, a silent queen, tortured but raised to eternal dignity. And let her words be ours. Let her prayer be our reminder that even in this noisy world, the sincerest hearts are still heard by Allah. Let me remind you of another story Want to open another story? That is a man whose entire life was a testimony of patience. Who's that? Prophet Ayub alayhi salam. And he was, he was once very wealthy, respected, surrounded by a loving family. He had wealth, prosperity, and honor. And then one by one, it was all over. His wealth vanished, his husband died, his health deteriorated, and his skin, was so diseased that people avoided him. And his own community abandoned him, even his relatives then. And years, many, many years passed and still did not complain. And not once even did he say, why me? Why me? Not once did he accuse Allah of justice. He cried, yes, but his tears were of love, not bitterness. Rabbi inni asini naghfiru wa anta arhamur rahimin. And indeed, advisory has touched me, and you are the most merciful. That's it. No anger, no protest. Just, Ya Rabbi, I'm hurting. I know. This is purest. Peace of God. And when Allah responded, he didn't just heal his body, he restored his honor, returned his wealth, and united his family. And because the truest ethics are not shown in success, they're shown in suffering. And so, suffering actually elevates us. And we think that problems are going to go, but one problem goes, another comes. And as I said, it's how we handle humanity, how we live through the suffering. And that brings, that elevates us to nearer. And remember, remember that Allah sees even when the world turns away, and will silence your tears, your suffering may just be the reason Jannah is written. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, please remind me if the time has finished. So let's be honest with ourselves. And today we live in a time where we have more degrees, more certificates, more PhDs, and yet we are not necessarily more ethical, more compassionate, and more God conscious. We have top graduates who can lead nations, but lie on oath. We have intellectuals who can publish in Q1 journals, but accumulate their students. We have administrators who can, who knows policies inside out, but have forgotten justice and mercy. Why? Because somewhere along the way, education lost its. And we started teaching facts without teaching values, pride in skills, but neglected the soul, and we pursued results, but we forgot richness. And we built schools and universities, but we forgot to build human beings. And we told our students, get a good grade, get a good job, earn good money, but we never ever told them that make your knowledge a means to please Allah. Heal the world with what you learn. Elevate others with what you know. When purpose becomes worldly, knowledge becomes death. مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا. What is that? The example of those who were entrusted with the Torah but failed to apply it is like a donkey carrying books. And that's exactly us if we don't implement. And don't be donkey carrying books. Don't be someone with wall full of degrees, but heart void of life. And people who can defend academic theories and conferences, but can't say assalamu alaikum to the cleaner outside the lecture hall, for instance. And we've seen people cheat in academic writing, even in Islamic institutions where integrity should be the very foundation. We've seen research manipulated not to benefit society, but to chase grants, recognition, and personal promotion. We've seen scholar with thousands of citations, yet unable to show the basic respect to their colleagues, students, or subordinates. And education has become a ladder, not a light. A ladder to climb to titles, to positions, the worldly gain, but not a light to eliminate the whole, the heart and the soul, to heal the heart. And if we look around us today in classrooms, universities, and even our institutions, we can begin to see the quiet signs that something sacred is missing. And we may have advanced in technology, curriculum, and international recognition, but in the process, we've quietly drifted away from what education has its heart in adab, in ikhlas, in tawheed, and in compassion. Let me share with you some of the contemporary signs and subtle. It's deeply alarming that just to see how far we've strayed away from the soul of education. First, academic arrogance. We live in a time where people believe in a title gives them superiority, where doctors and professors become a wall, not a bridge. We speak down, not up. We look past the janitor, past the student, past the soul, and we forget that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the most knowledgeable, was also the most humble. He sat on the floor, he listened, and he cared. Number two, chasing KPIs over Ibadah. We see institutions obsessed with ranking, citation, publications. I'm not saying it's wrong, but where is the niyyah, the intention? We left that. And where is the reminder that writing a paper can be the act of worship if it's done with sincerity? When KPI becomes our qibla and promotion our prayer, we forget that knowledge was sent to connect us to Allah, not just for the conference talks. Number three, disconnect from real life ethics. We teach law, but we ignore the injustice of the poor being priced out of justice. We teach business, but we excuse exploitations, unpaid interns, and deceitful marketing. We teach science, but we mock the idea that Allah is the source of all knowledge. We teach religion, but reduce it to ritual, strip off its beauty, mercy, and relevance. Number four, the spiritual vacuum in schools. Our students are drowning in anxiety, in pressure, in loneliness. We see that in our children sometimes. They're told to succeed, but no one asks them if they're okay. They woke up to great pressure. They sleep with the thoughts of failure. And some even contemplate suicide, not because they are weak, but because our system never gave them space to be human. And these aren't just social problems. They're signs of our soul-starved education system, a system that teaches the mind but forgets the heart. So what is education supposed to be? Education in the Islamic worldview is tazkiyah. It is a process of purification. It should polish the heart before filling the mind. It should teach you how to live, not just how to pass. And it should make you fear Allah more than people. The Prophet said, "Innama bu'ithtu mu'alliman." Indeed, I was only sent as a teacher. But what kind of teacher was he? He taught not only through words, but through presence, through kindness, through patience, through his silence and his smile. He did it. He didn't just teach facts. He taught hearts. He transformed Bedouins into sage, orphans into leaders, slaves into scholars. Why? Because his education was tawheedic. It began with Allah and ended with Allah. And we must return to a model where akhlaq is taught alongside academics. Adab is graded more heavily than JPA's niyyah, intention, is purified before every lesson. See the role as ibadah, not just employment. And we must train our souls, not just systems. We must build character, not just careers. And we must teach how to kneel before Allah, not just how to stand like me before an audience. Let us not just carry knowledge in our heads, but leave our hearts hollow, and let us raise a generation of God conscious, value driven, and spiritually awake learners. Only then will education regain its soul. Because if education does not connect us to our purpose, if it does not soften the heart, refine the soul, and elevate the human being, that is not education. It is information without transformation. So how do we heal it? How do we begin to overcome? Healing the ethical crisis in education or in any part of the life requires more than just policies or punishment. It begins with the heart. It begins with returning to the essence of Tawheed. The process of overcoming any crisis, personal or systematic, involves four deeply spiritual yet practical steps. And these are not just theories, they are tools for personal and institutional transformation. First, recognize the issue. Recognize the issue, don't deny or sugarcoat it. And the first step is to stop pretending everything is fine. We must be brave enough to admit there is arrogance in our academic culture, there's dishonesty in our research practices, there are a spiritual emptiness in our classrooms, there are students suffering silently under the weight of expectations, and sweeping problems under the rug or blaming them on the system only delays even. So first, recognize the issue. Number two, return to Allah. Place Tawheed at the center of every response. Only we recognize the problem, we must turn back to the source of all guidance, that is Allah. And Tawheed is not just a belief, as I said, it is a way of responding. We remind ourselves Allah is watching how we lead. Allah knows the intention behind every academic paper, for instance, and Allah sees how we treat those beneath us in status. And let Tawheed shape our syllabus, let it guide our deadlines, let it determine how we handle power, pressure, and pride, and return every decision, big or small, what would Allah be pleased with? Number three, make sincere dua, not just with the lips, but in the depths of the heart. And Allah recognizes, after recognizing and returning, we raise our hands, not mechanically, not out of routine, as I said, but because we are desperate for Allah to purify our efforts. Ya Allah, correct my intention. Ya Allah, make my knowledge light, not burden. Ya Allah, let me never forget you in the middle of success. Dua is the soul's cry for direction. It turns anxiety into surrender and ambition into ibadah. And when you ask Allah sincerely, He will show you the next step. Number four, act with intelligence and ethics. Take measured, humble steps with Allah's pleasure in mind. Dua is not substitute for action. It is a fuel for it. And we must take practical steps guided by ethical clarity. Number one, revise, for instance, that plagiarize section, even if it costs you time. For instance, apologize to the students you dismiss, stand up for honesty, and in meetings, even when it's unpopular, choose sincerity over shortcuts, even when no one will notice. What is this? It's Tawheed teaches us to act, not recklessly, but wise, not to impress, but to please, not for applause, but for the acceptance by Allah. Every step, ask yourself, will Allah be pleased with us? Because in the end, degrees fade, praise is forgotten, but Allah's coordinator. Okay, she's standing there. Then we conclude. In the end, okay, my brothers and sisters, this university is not just a building, it is a sacred trust, and it is a garden where souls grow, and let us not poison it with honesty, people, or heedlessness. Let us turn into a place where every act, big or small, is filled with barakah. Let us be like Yusuf, like Ayub, like Asya, people who stood firm in their ethics, not for praise, but for the gaze of Allah. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ain, for the very insightful content. Yeah, we talk about Asia, we talk about Prophet Ayub, Tazkiyah, and all that. I think there are a lot of good reminders then that coming the next sem, yeah, we should go back to the original. Okay, and the 4 steps just now. Okay, we invite you to take a seat first
Okay.
while we have a Q&A session. Okay, so anyone who have any questions, please, yeah, feel free to take this opportunity to ask. The mic is there, and or you can just raise your hand and the mic will come to you. Okay, so we welcome the floor to ask questions. Come on, guys, ask questions. Yes, Prof. Aslina. Okay, Mike. Okay, that's a very, yeah, teacher punya quality.
So my question is, we are KICT technology. So how do you invite I really appreciate the 4 steps that you gave. And I think that's the basic steps that should be taken. But we are all KICT. How do we ensure that it is technology with ethics, which I personally aspire myself to always, until my last breath, to ensure that my students, everyone around me will inculcate ethics as they develop and use. So how do we integrate the two? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. May I know your name?
Rose Alinda.
Rosalina. Thank you, Professor Rosalina, for your question. I'm humbled. I'm small in front of you. Well, looking back to your question, we usually separate the dunya with the akhirah, and this is the problem of our education, that we don't connect between these two. We should always connect it, because it's, as I told you before in the lecture, that the soul is, because we don't bridge that. We don't bridge that. And it begins with our niyyah, and all the knowledge, including ICT, science, everything comes from Allah. And thus we need to make it return to Allah. And that in the middle of the how is you, the artist. You are the artist. You are the lecturers that create that bridge between that where it comes from and needs to go back.
Thank you for the answer. Simply, yeah, what we can do is whenever you turn on your phone or whatever, recite Bismillah first. So if you say Bismillah, I don't think the intention will go away, right? You will be the right one. Okay. All right. So next question, please. Yes, Dr. Aznan.
Wabarakatuh. Thank you to Dr. Nan. Very inspiring and heart-hitting reminder for all of us. But I would just like to ask your teacher here one issue that I think has been mentioned quite a lot nowadays in dealing with current generation of students, not just for lecturers, but also for administrators, because through all our interaction, there is an opportunity for us to educate them also. Because this is, I mean, to illustrate the situation, just like two examples, which is Alhamdulillah not from our university, but I got this from first person information. It's one of our top universities. There were two incidents, as we know. July, August is the season of exams and registration of courses. And so there was a situation whereby a student was caught cheating during the exam and offering the food in the exam venue, and the what we call reason was that she was waiting for an urgent message regarding ailing grandmother who might be passing away. And a few days later, she produced a death certificate, which upon checking with the National Registration Department appeared to be false. So the extent to the into just action. And another one was a situation whereby students were well, we can say competing to a particular course, and the course was already filled to the limit. So there was a student who created a false email in, I think, the college grouping. Okay, to me that I think the email came from the faculty or the faculty instructing some of the students to drop the course, and some students did drop the course, therefore allowing the student who wanted to come in managed to register. But of course, this is still under investigation. The perpetrator has not yet been known. So, yeah, how do we deal with this current generation of students? As if, like we see, the ends justify the means.
Well, seems like problems that we face every day. And thank you, Dr. Asman, for the question. And I believe that everything that is right, it needs to be placed in its right place. Yeah. So when it's wrong, and nothing, I mean, we can't justify that something is wrong is right. Logic says that we cannot place one thing which is right and wrong in one place. So it's whether right or it's whether wrong. So there's a justification of that. If it's wrong, then it needs to be, treated as wrong, and the students need to know the consequences of doing something wrong. So we need to act right, and that is either putting the right thing in the right place.
Thank you very much for the answer. I think we only have time for one more question. So who will be the lucky one? Calling ones. Okay, we have one question.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. Please. I have a very simple question. Based on when I was studying here, so if you want to practice Islam, European, to Europe country, yeah. And if you want to see Islam, yes, come to country. And yes, I think a lot of that experience. And based on that, based on your research, what is missing in our future?
You want to ask my opinion about Islam in Europe?
Yeah, that's why they are practicing Islam instead of us.
Why they are practicing?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how should I answer that? Okay, how? Well, we often are in the comfort zone. Usually if we look into human nature, if we stay in the comfort zone and we do not want to come out, we stay like that. We only see the goodness within ourselves. We don't see the beauty. We see the beauty only, and we stay in the comfort zone, and thus we do not uh, go beyond it. And the people in Europe, maybe because they have that, they see the differences and they see the struggles, that's where they implement it. Just like, why did Islam come in a place where um, there were struggles there? No, they don't know nothing about knowledge and how they lived, and why did Prophet come there? Because they needed that thing there, and they when they saw a light coming from that place to overcome the struggles, overcome their problems, then it's more meaningful. So it's the same. It comes that way in the place where Europe, there's more struggles, there are more, all these kind of things they implement better. People here also we have, but more of them stay in the comfort zone and they don't like to go out. And this is where we should go out and see. We should go out and see the struggles. If we stay in our comfort zone, then we gain nothing. We gain nothing. We eat, we live, and then we die. And then the other comes, we eat, we live, we die. But if there is a purpose, we should see outside, we should see the people who struggle more than us, and we reflect. It's just, life is just not about us, it's about others, it's about creation. We should see and we should learn many, many things from outside of us.
Thank
Hope
you
that-
very much. Yeah. So indirectly, it's saying to us, go travel. Right there, we see different cultures, different how people practice Islam. Then, yeah, that's why we appreciate all our international lecturers. They can share to us how Islam is practiced everywhere else. Okay, so that ends our first session. Thank you very much, Dr. Ain. So I invite to present a token of appreciation to Dr. Ain. I invite Prof. Tengku. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ain again, and Prof. Tengku. Just to remind everyone, can we have the attendance again? So those of you who have not signed in the attendance for this first session, please scan the QR code and sign in. Yeah, we will have the attendance for every session. Okay, so for now, our next thing on the agenda will be lucky draw and a quiz. Okay, before you get the prize, you need to answer question first. So I invite Dr. Shakira and Dr. Liana, for the session. So over to you guys. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Uh, this is the short moment, okay, before we go to the next session. Okay, after this, we have another lecture or tazkirah. Okay, so me and Dr. Liana, ada dah lari dah. Okay, me and Dr. Liana, we will conduct the quiz just for 5 minutes. Okay, so maybe while you are coming here in ISTAC, okay, so you have been, how to say, visit this ISTAC. Okay, so the question is just among the ISTAC only. Okay, I can't ask you the question about just now, Tazkirah just now, because I'm not expert in that field. So we just asking you about the ISTAC because today we have a lot of prize. But for this session is only 5 prizes. So the prize is very, very worth it lah. If I'm not mistaken, the prize is about the vacation, 5 days and Maybe. Okay. So for the first question,
Okay, so for the first question, easy question. What does ISTAC stands for? ISTAC, raise your hand. Tu. Kak Shima. Okay, yelah, your hands as fast as possible lah. Every thoughts and civilization. Okay, is that correct? Correct. Okay. Yes.
okay, maybe we can ask Dr. Shima come to take the prize, the vacation 5 days to Azerbaijan. No, just kidding. Okay, next question. Next question, ready ya? Who was the founder of ISTAC? Founder. Google. Ah. Prof. Okay. Yes, correct.
Yeah, thank
Okay,
you.
Prof. Uni, please come. Ini Azerbaijan tadi. Tapi tak balik-balik. Tak balik-balik.
Okay, we have another three questions. Okay, so the third question. The architecture and design of ISTAC is inspired by what?
Zainab.
Plus. Spain. Amra.
Yes, correct. Okay, Dr. Zainab come in front to take the prize. Because I can see that a lot of you are very known about this ISTAC. Yeah, out of scope. Today is about ISTAC only. Okay. So for the next question, we are giving you the picture. Okay, you can see from in front. Next. Okay. So about this question, what is this painting about and where you can see it? Kat luar tu. Siapa? Anyone would like to try? Huh? One question, what is the painting is about and where can you see it? Prof Tengku. Pakar.
I think it's a picture of Muhammad Al-Fatih during the conquest of Constantinople in 1453. 1453.
Okay, amazing. Okay, actually I don't put the how to say Tare supposedly is not there, but it's okay. Thank you so much because you added more, so hadiah pun lebih lah. Okay, Prof. Okay, Prof. Thank you, Prof. The last question. Last question about ISTAC also. About ISTAC. So this you can see in front of you. Next picture. Yeah, this picture. So the same thing, question. Okay, what is this painting about and where you can see it in this ISTAC? Anyone can? Hi. If you're aware just now, while you are trying to register yourself, I know.
Yeah, Brian. Jadi, change to kalau mungkin kalau di when you click on the show.
Oh, okay. Actually, that one is the other Google. Yeah, the other name. So I will try to pass to Miss Junaida. Okay. Ali Hamid. In the picture. Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Registration counter, and the name is the Caliph of Constantine Al Hamid. The opposite registration counter lobby is that. Okay, so thank you, Miss Junaida. So you can come in front. Okay, actually we finish our question and we finish also the prizes. So maybe you can wait for the next to kumpul all the prizes. Okay, thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, we are good on time. It's 11 o'clock now, so we will have our second session. So while we move about, yeah, it's up to you. Can there are drinks at the back, okay? And later the attendance, yeah, can you please show the attendance for our session 2? So you can stand up and yeah, stretch, do and all that. Yeah, but we are going to start soon. I'll just give you 1 minute break. The ladies, the toilets, yeah. For the gentlemen, it's just outside the hall. For the ladies, it's at banquet hall. Yeah. So that's the closest to us. We have a lot more toilets down. Yeah. LG and the rest of the area. Okay, everyone, 1 minute's up. Okay, we shall start soon. You can go sightseeing if you finish early. Yeah, see the beautiful. Okay, for the QR, this one is the old one. Yeah, we'll show you the session 2. Okay, soon. Okay, everyone, please take a seat. Calm down. We're going to start. Okay, the QR code is correct. Yeah, our lecture 2 will start soon. Our speaker is already here. Okay, please have a seat, everyone. Okay, scan the QR code for the attendance. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let's start our next session. Okay, we will invite Dr. Ahmad Al-Muhammadi, also from ISTAC, to deliver our second lecture, yeah, titled Malays of the Ummah. Malays and Malays. There are two pronunciation for that. I checked yesterday. It's from French. Malays, not Malas. Malays. Okay. Can we have the usher to usher Dr. Ahmad to come in? Come on, everyone, have a seat. We are going to start. Assalamualaikum. Welcome, Dr. Ahmad. Greeting his friends. Okay, welcome to the stage. Okay. We are lucky today, yeah, to have Dr. Ahmad Al-Muhammadi. I think quite a famous person, and the name is well known. Okay. While he is setting up, okay, let me introduce him officially to you. Okay. Dr. Ahmad Al-Muhammadi is an assistant professor at ISTAC and deputy director, Peace, Dialogue, and Xenophobia Studies Center. Okay, IRKHS. Besides that, he holds various external positions such as Associate Fellow at the International Center for Counter-Terrorism, The Hague, Netherlands, International Advisory Committee member at Global Peace Institute. Wow, very fine, yeah. One is terrorism and the other one is global peace. So he covers all. Okay, Associate Research Fellow at Accounting Research Institute, UITM, Adjunct Professor, Minhaj University Lahore, Pakistan, and Research Fellow, Politics, Future Research, Malaysia. Since 2011, he works closely with the Special Branch Counter-Terrorism Division, Royal Malaysia Police, and Prison Department to implement the rehabilitation and radicalization programs for individuals detained under terrorism law in Malaysia. Dr. Ahmad is also a member of the Radicalization Panel, an expert specialist appointed by Ministry of Home Ministers for cases investigated under the Security of Offences, Special Measures Act, SOSMA 2012, and Prevention of Terrorism Act. Hopefully there's no terrorists here today, yeah? Okay, because we have our expert there, yeah, which requires him to testify as expert witness during trials. So we have a very colorful background of our speaker. So without further ado, Dr. Ahmad, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much. Person. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wasahbihi. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul min lisani qawli subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. First and foremost, I would like to thank the organizer for inviting me to come here to share some input in this program that is Ibadah camp for the KICT today. And I was tasked to speak to you this morning on this place of the Ummah, what can we do to achieve Ummah the excellent. I think that the topic that we are going to discuss today is an old topic, something that I believe that we have discussed, and I believe also you have listened to this discussion for so many years, since you are joining IEM. But the issue of the Malays of the Ummah has continued to be one of the key problems and challenge of our times as well. So I think that's why the organizer choose to pick up this topic to be discussed this morning. I would like to share with you a little bit about this based on the experience that I have in my research and also based on my reading issue. I would like to begin by sharing with you or, highlight this term. First of all, this is considered to be the key term. What is the meaning Malays? It may sound like a Malay, but it is not that. The Malays is a medical term, actually. If you come from a medical background, then I'm sure that you're familiar with this. The phrase, the Malays of the Ummah, refers to deep, sustained sense of spiritual, intellectual, social, political stagnation. I think the key word here is the sense of stagnation and decline or dysfunction within the global Muslim community of the Ummah. So that is the definition of the Malays, the context of the Ummah. So this term also captures the collective feeling that something is profoundly wrong or lacking in the state of the Ummah today, such as the loss of direction, the purpose, vitality, and the sense of hopelessness. So this happened due to the internal and external factors, and which is also deep and systemic. So that is the scope of the meaning in Malay. As I said, Malays is a medical term and describe is any of the following: the sense of the overall weaknesses, the feeling of discomfort, feeling of like that you have an illness, or not feeling well. It often occurs with fatigue and inability to restore the feeling of health through proper rest. And sometimes it's happened suddenly, sometimes it develops gradually, also importantly, persist over time. So I believe that those people who choose this topic, I would say, it's very, very smart because it's accurately, describe the nature of the Ummah today. And the reason behind the Malays can be extremely difficult to mean because it can be a result of many conditions, or I would say, many factors. Next one is, maybe some of you would say, is this problem real? If it is real, then what are the indicators of that? Let us see this. Let us see some indicators of the Malays. If you look at this in terms of the spiritual aspect, we can see that Muslims sometimes engage in very much ritualism, which means that form of a substance. A lot of people, for example, praise, but it has no impact in life. And the rise of extremism. So this is one of the issues that I'm dealing with. I've been researching about this. My PhD research was actually about why people become extreme. Very simple. When I go around the country interviewing people, first to find out what you are interested in the extremist ideas or ideology. How do you become extremist in that sense? And we have the case, for example, group like Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Jamaah Islamiyah, and so on. And the loss of ethical governance, that is, in terms of the spiritual aspect of it, the intellectual aspect of it, the low academic ranking, maybe one of the indicators or symptom, lack of ijtihad,
brain drain or lack of R&D culture, the academic world, the Muslim countries, and in economic unemployment, poor expert economy, wealth inequality, economic dependency, and the victim of exploitation. I think this can be seen throughout history. You know, Muslim countries is very rich. We make use of natural resources that we have, would be very, very developed countries, but because of the exploitation and economic dependency, then the rich country becomes so poor. Okay, African countries, for example, one of the richest with the natural resources, minerals, and so on, but it has been exploited so badly historically. India, you know, India before the British colonized India, India was one of the richest country, and actually their GDP is higher than UK. But after British colonized India, they sucked the blood of India, they transferred the rich natural resources in India to Britain, and they developed Britain. They developed Oxford, they developed Cambridge and all education institutions using slavery and exploitation from India. And we proudly go to UK. I'm not deciding to study there, but we go to university proudly, studying in those universities. But actually, that university was built upon slavery and exploitation. If you don't believe, you can go and study how Oxford University was developed. It is built upon exploitation and slavery. Then we go to political. We have failed state like Syria, like many countries, Yemen, for example. Authoritarianism, disunity, and colonizability, meaning that there is a scholar by the name Malik Ben Nabi. He said that why Muslim countries always be colonized. He said that because you allowed your country to be colonized, okay? Because your mindset is allowing them to colonize you. We have the social aspect of life Malays as well, the mental health crisis, identity confusion, family breakdown, and last one is cultural, civilizational stagnation, imitation of originality. If you look at the global economy today, the global economy today is controlled by the West, by the Chinese, by the Indian, and by the European. None of those rankings is actually coming from the Muslim country, but they tap into the expertise. Well, some of the experts come from the Muslim country, from Bangladesh, from India, from Middle East, and so on. So they brought them there in the Silicon Valley and developed the technology. Interesting, right? You can go to Silicon Valley today and become the best expert in IT, right? And America become the global superpower in semiconductor industry, for example, today. There is a book, actually, I'm sure that you have seen this book before. The title of the book is The Crisis in the Muslim Mind. Maybe some of you have read the book. It's a very old book, actually, maybe in the 70s. Not sure, I don't remember, but they have a new version of that, the old version of that as well. So this book is actually discussed about this topic. So let me summarize the book. The book argues that the greatest challenge facing the Muslim world today is not political or economic, but it is intellectual and epistemological. The crisis is located in the Muslim mindset, which has become stagnant, ritualistic, defensive, and capable of generating civilizational renewal. So the crisis in mind prevent Muslims from engaging with modern realities in effective, value-based, and transformative manner. You can read the rest of the book, but I just want to introduce the book and also the ideas. And in fact, the author of the book was the first rector of RUM. I think that is what made me, yeah? Oh, the second, sorry. What was the first one? Abdul Ra'ul. Okay, well, so I wasn't born yet during that time, so I don't know. There's only an answer. Anyway, so the second rector of IUM, he wrote this book. And I think that book becomes the foundation of our university today. You can revisit the book and try to see how can you understand the book today? Because the book was written, I think, quite some time, so maybe 30, 40 years ago. But let us see whether it is still relevant today. Right. Now, let us proceed further to discuss about some aspect of the Malays. Let me begin by looking at there are several aspects of that. Okay, spiritual, intellectual, political, and so on. But let me go one by one, see what aspect that we have the stagnation. For example, spiritual stagnation or spiritual malaise. Muslim in general inclined to religion. This one is something that you can observe. All over the world, Muslim in general, very religious people, the search for spirituality and religion has increased all over the world. That's why Muslim Ummah today has increased very rapidly in 21st century. You look at statistics. Muslim in the world today, how many? I think 2 billion, 3 billion. The number has increased. However, the loss of Tawhidic consciousness, so which means that many Muslims has lost a living sense of Tawhid. They have the religion, but not awareness of religion. They are engaged in ritualism without substance. Religious practices may be observed, yes, but mechanically, okay, without deep understanding or transformative effect. So that is the thing that I mentioned earlier. And this connection from Quranic guidance, because Al-Quran is read, but ritually, often read ritually, but not engaged in effective or implemented in practical sense. So they read but don't understand the meaning. So that's one aspect. Intellectual also, the crisis of knowledge and epistemology, confusion of worldview, because some people do not have the background, for example, so they cannot relate between what is like values is with the current. The problem of colonized mind or intellectual colonization. I would so maybe politically we have been independent, but mentally how? Are we still free or independent mentally? Or we still believe that the West is the best in the world? Maybe to some extent it is true, but if we have this kind of thinking, and we do not want to move forward developing our own technology, for example, we will remain colonized forever, mentally, even not politically. Decline of ijtihad or critical thought, this is another thing, and loss of intellectual leadership. We don't have a great scholars in the field. But I think right now we are developing, I think. Political, that's another aspect of it. Very stagnant, and also problematic. Corruption, loss of sovereignty. Many Muslim land had subjected to foreign influence, intervention, and economic dependency. Fragmentation, sectarianism, exploitation by superpower, proxy war, political disunity domestically. For example, we have so many political parties with divergent interests. So they are engaging into fight continuously. This is the corruption, global corruption index. We look at the Muslim countries around the world, we can see, well, UAE is much better. That is number 23rd. The global ranking, Qatar 38, 50s, Maldives 96, 99, Malaysia doing quite good. I don't know. It's subjective actually. But it is actually somewhere between 20s to 100, not the top ranking, but countries that is free from corruption. So that is political aspect. If you look at the situation in the Muslim world, in Gaza, for example, continuous war has left the country like this. Destruction, poverty, death. That's the reality. This is very recent. Same goes in the case of Syria. I visited Syria and also in Iraq. It's the same thing. You can see similar the effect of war. In Afghanistan, still crawling from the age of destruction. Afghanistan is a very rich country with natural resources, but sitting in a very unfortunate geographical area. You know, Afghanistan never stay independently or never be colonized for even quite sometimes. They're always being subjected to invasion since the beginning of the country. I mean, it's a very, very sad country to be, but they have a very, very strong people. Afghanistan is known as the graveyard of the empire. You know why? Because any empire invaded Afghanistan, they would meet the final death. You look at what happened before in the early century. Who invaded Afghanistan first time? Alexander the Great invaded Afghanistan. And then King Persia invaded. Alexander the Great invaded Afghanistan. He said that easy to march in, hard to march out. He spent actually 3 years fighting insurgency in Afghanistan, and finally the whole empire of Alexander the Great collapsed afterwards. Persian to be used to be very great empire, but Persian Empire collapsed after invaded Afghanistan. Came British. You know, there is a word saying there is no sun never set the British Empire. You see, British has a very vast, expensive empire, but after set their foot in Afghanistan, in no time, British Empire collapsed. And then came Russia. Russian thought that, well, I can invade Afghanistan in a few days. Yes, in 1 week, control the whole Afghanistan. He fought in Afghanistan for 10 years, and in 1999, or in 1990s, the Soviet Union, the biggest country on earth, collapsed. Why? Their mistake was invading Afghanistan. Now, American came recently after 9/11, thinking that they have all technologies, science, weapons, and so on, invaded Afghanistan. This fought in Afghanistan for 20 years, and after 20 years, they said, off we go. 2024 last year, we give up. We are going back to America. They leave everything, literally everything. They don't take anything. They just let Afghanistan pick up the bag and leave. American economy is badly affected because of the war of atrocities against Afghan people. Later on, Afghan people say, yeah, this is our country, we're going to stay here. There is a word among the Afghan people that say that you may have a watch, you may have a clock, but we got the time. They will fight forever. Anyway, Afghanistan is one of the countries that become the victims of colonization, invasion, and suffering. But they have if you have a student from Afghanistan, you can ask them. When we talk about social malaise also, we can see that identity crisis, identity erosion, growing materialism, people are becoming so crazy with, you know, if you ask the children today, what you're going to become in future, they're going to say that YouTubers. Have you ever heard of that? They no longer talk about being lecturers, professor, YouTubers or TikTokers. Right. Why is that? Because that technology is growing fast, and this will promote the culture of consumerism, and this led to the loss of moral compass. And we can also see the disintegration of family and community. The traditionals that preserve values and identity are weakening, youth alienation, mental health issues, crime and security in the community. I can ask you now, do you feel safe living in your community? You have the answer. Maybe some of you would say, I don't really feel safe. I actually was appointed by the Ministry of Home Affairs to study, they call it Index Keselamatan Kebangsaan, National Security Index. To what extent that people feel safe in their home. The most, what they call, the lowest index is that people don't feel safe. This is what happened today, especially there are so black spot or the black area in certain, like Gombak, for example. If you live in Gombak, you gotta be right. Civilizational malaise as well. We can see that the loss of vision and mission. The Ummah no longer feels see this itself as the Khairullah, the best nation. Thus, with enjoining good and forbidding evil. Another problem is the inferiority complex. It's an old issue. And technological scientific backwards. I speak to one of you in the KICT during our program last time. To what extent that we are good in technology? Is it that we still at the, there is so much improvement needs to be done. Okay, yeah, that is standpoint. So that is the technology and science. There are so many costs to this. I do not want to go into the detail. I'm going to skip this one, go to the next, but just look at briefly. It's happened because of colonization. We used to be colonized, and then the colonizers, they put in place their system and create dependency. When countries gain independence, for example, Malaysia gain independence, 57, we are going to celebrate our independence this month, right? We gain independence politically from the British influence, but the British has put in place certain systems that make us dependent, at least before. During, before, in the 80s, I think it stopped gradually in the 80s when Mahathir Mohamad came, the Prime Minister, he shifted the dependence to as dasar pandang ke timur. Look his policy. The reason why Prime Minister Mahathir during that time changed the policy, look his policy, because he wanted to stop being dependent on the British. Then he shifted. Then we are looking at Japan. We brought a lot of Japanese technology to Malaysia. We sent students to Japan. And well, then we can develop proton cars and so on because of the technology from Japan. But if you look at Japan, Japan engaged or was decimated in World War II. In 1945, the American dropped an atomic bomb in Japan. You go to Japan, you can see the effect. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, decimated. And you know what? American came, tell the Japanese, I'm going to drop the third bomb next week. Lest you surrender. The Japanese emperor during that time, he was thinking like if he continues the war, the whole population of Japan may be going to be reduced to tinggal 2-3 juta saja. And he said, I got to be responsible. Let us surrender. Japan surrendered to the Black forces. 45. The whole Japanese imperial army around the world, including in Malaya, returned back to Japan after that. Right, that's good. But Japan, since then, tried to develop their own economy. Okay? Develop their economy. Within 40 years, Japan became the best in the world and joined G7. 40 years. One of the things that the Japanese did was they sent their students to the West to study, dismantle the thing, learn technology, bring that knowledge and technology to Japan, build their own cars, technology, and so on. But it is different in the Muslim world. We also send students to overseas. We send them to other countries. And I think during Mahathir's time, they sent a lot of students to America, to the Western countries, and so on. But our students, they returned back to our country, but they brought pictures with album of pictures, not technology. they don't develop technology. Maybe one or two, but they don't bring technology. They just brought, okay, I went to study here, I took pictures and I came back. That's it. What is the real contribution? So that is the difference between Japan and the rest of the world. So Japan, they went there, they learned technology, they dismantled the cars, they bought, for example, Lincoln cars, dismantled the reverse technology, bring back to Japan, build Honda, and we bought that. All right. One of the lessons learned, I think. Now, there is another thing that caused this this stagnation is secularization and ideological confusion. We lost our identity, and then global capitalism controlled the economy, religious stagnation, and so on. Now, what is the way forward? I do not want to spend so much time. You know this already. Before that, we also need to look at the strength that we have. So I'd like to give you a little bit good news. Just now, it's quite sad. Let us see what are the strength of the Muslim world. The Muslim world is very big, you know. It's especially demographic. We have a big demography. We have demographic power. Demographically, we are so big, encompassing countries in Asia, in Middle East, in Africa, some Muslim minorities in the West as well. The Muslim are fast-growing religious group globally. We have a young population, okay? Median age is younger in the global average, which means that we have a future labor force and it is potential. It's one of the things that we can tap into. If you go to countries like Jordan, they have a lot of young people there. And the problem is that whenever you have a lot of young people in your country and they don't have a job, that is a problem. And don't have a proper education like Egypt. So many young people, but no job, no education. What's they gonna do? They will go to the street and demonstrate. That's why we have Arab Spring before. In Jordan, in Syria, and so on. But anyway, that's one of the strengths. The second one is the strategic geography. That is precisely the reason why so many big powers like the United States is interested to control Muslim countries. In Middle East, for example, because strategic geography controls critical trade routes and waterways like Strait of Hormuz, Suez Canal, Malacca Strait. So one of the choke points of the world is here in Southeast Asia, in Malaysia, in Southeast Asia, and another two, the Middle East. So you can predict that right now there is a trouble in Middle East. Next one will be here in the region. If we don't have a good leadership in Southeast Asia, we will be the next victim. They don't go to Africa. They've been plundering Africa for ages. They've been plundering whatever countries like Belgium. You can read the history of. If you go to Brussels, Brussels, very beautiful city, very fine building, but they developed based on slavery in Africa. They killed a lot of people in Africa. They built their civilization and development in there. So they're founding. Now they go to Middle East. So a lot of countries in the Middle East are now in trouble because of this. And I guess the next target would be in Southeast Asia because we have Strait of Malacca here. Who controls Malacca Strait will control the world. Because the world economy is dependent on these routes. You know, that's why Iran is having leverage in the global politics. Iran is the only country in the world that has a gut to fire the missile toward Israel. No Arab nation has the courage to do that before. The Israelis send their bombs in killing the leaders of Iran and the scientists and so on. Iran just, they call it strategic restraint, strategic patience. Don't do anything yet. But whenever they start attacking the key installation in the country, Iranian says, you go to hell, Israel, we're going to send you a missile. They send it to missile and then pummel Israel so badly, just like Israel came to Iran, slapping around a little bit. Iran came and punched their noses. Now they have a bloody nose. They don't have any courage to fight Iran anymore. Why? Because if the war continues in Iran, Iran will shut down this Strait of Hormuz. The world economy will stop, and no movement will go to Europe. What will happen to the world economy? The world economy will scream. You cannot afford to have it. So let us stop the war and go about our life. So that is one of the strengths. But I think Iran make use of this strength so well. That's why, I mean, they are in the safe side. Well, some kind of small wars. The third one is natural resources. No doubt, the Muslim nation hold 70% of proven oil reserve in Middle East, Central Asia, Africa, rich in gas, mineral, agriculture, renewable energy potential, and so on and so forth. So this is one of the strengths that we have. And fourth, cultural civilizational heritage. We are Islamic civilization contribute massively to science, philosophy, medicine, arts, and government. And Islamic values promote justice, ethics, compassion, spiritual resilience. This is another heritage. And the last one is spiritual influence. This is very important as well. But let me tell you a little story. The ruler of Saudi Arabia is a Saud family. And if you read history, a Saud family came after British managed to topple the Ottoman Caliphate in Istanbul. So before, I mean, in 1930s, they have this agreement among three countries, British, the France, and Russia. And during that time, the Ottoman Caliphate still there. They said, guys, what are we going to do if Ottoman Empire collapses? How can we distribute the land to each one of us? And the British say, let us cut them into two. I take half and you take half. How about that? I take Palestine, I take the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, the Qatar, and so on. And you take the other part of the world. We just cut into two. The French say, it sounds good. Let us do this. That was the plan. In 1930, they call it the a side-picot agreement. You can check in history. Side-picot agreement cut the Ottoman Empire into pieces. And after that, they cut this empire into a smaller state, like Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, Iran, Iraq. It wasn't like this before. You know, they cut this into smaller part of the world because it's very easy to control. If they are united as one big empire, it's very difficult to control. So, during that time, there is a person by the name Sharif Hussein. I'm sure you read some time before. Sharif Hussein is the descendant of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Control Mecca and Medina. They approached Sharif Hussein and said to him, Sharif Hussein, I have a proposition to you. Let us work together. The British said, let us work together to fight against the Ottomans. Let us topple the Ottomans. I will give you the full control of Mecca and Medina. You will be the king of Mecca and Medina. Let us do this. Sharif Hussein during that time seems to be agreed. And actually he was deceived by the British agent by the name Lawrence of Arabia. Lawrence of Arabia is one of the smartest British intelligence during that time. You also can read in history, Lawrence of Arabia. There is a movie made on Lawrence of Arabia in Netflix. Sharif Hussein said, let us fight. They fight against the British, topple Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire fall in 1920. Kemal Atatürk was installed as the first president of Turkey. And he said, I'm going to abolish the caliphates. He abolished the caliphates. 1922. And so what happened to Sharif Hussein? Sharif Hussein said, now, I help you, give me Makkah and Medina. And he said, I'm sorry, I cannot give to you because that's too dangerous. I'll give you another place in Jordan. How about that? Sharif Hussein said, do I have a choice? Damn, you don't have a choice. I actually push you to Jordan. So he sent it to Jordan. And do you know who he put in the Saudi Arabia? No? A Saud. Okay. That was the history. So if you go to Jordan, you have to remember the king of Jordan is descendant of the prophets. Ahlul Bayt. Because he was the great grandfathers of King Abdullah, King Hussein was the descendant of the prophet. Who controlled Makkah and Medina? The rightful one. Now the question is why the British put them there in Jordan. Is a strategic foresight they follow. Why? Because if the British put Sharif Hussein in Makkah, there would be another caliphate will emerge from them. The British said the West cannot afford another caliphate in the Muslim world. Let us destroy the caliphate once and for all. So they put them in Jordan. They put another person in Saudi Arabia. And we have Saudi Arabia. That is the only country in the world with the family's name is the name of the country of the state. Saudi Arabia. A Saud family. Okay. I'm not criticizing Saudi government. I tell you the story behind this. What happened? Now, if Sharif Hussein become the governor of Saudi Arabia today, I'm sure the whole Muslim world will be giving loyalty and submission to Sharif Hussein. That is something that the West can afford to have. So they're very smart. They say that let us send them to Jordan, then they lost power because the power of the Muslim world, spiritual influence is in the Makkah and Medina. That's a Saud family controls, and a Saud family is not from the descendant of the Prophet. They are the Bedouin people originally. All right. Until now, we still suffer the problem. Okay, and King Hussein, King Abdullah right now control Jordan, and Aslam continued. There is no caliphate until now. I think last year, 2024, although 100 years of the downfall of 100 years. We are not sure what will happen in the next 100 years. Maybe another group will come, I don't know, but not in our lifetime, it seems. So let us compare some with some what we have in the Muslim world with the West, China or India. In terms of the population, we're quite a lot actually. We're 2 billion. The West have 1 billion, China have 1.4, India 1.4. Education, the West world leaders, China catching up fast, makes Muslim world lag behind. R&D and technology, low investment. The West high, China high, India is emerging. And in military power also unified under NATO, economic power, industrial, financial leaders, so and so forth. But there are a lot of things that we can do with it because of this situation. Okay, now I'm moving towards the end of the. Let us change. Now I want to bring you some Quranic verses here. The Ummatic empowerment. It starts with the self-empowerment. Because Allah says in the Quran, in Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim, Surah Al-Ra'd 11. To change the nation, start with one person. That's the idea. So it means that it starts with all of us here, one person. But the Quran also gives us the idea of we have to be the best nation, the khayru or ummah excellent. It mentions Surah Al-Imran, verse 110. But here, if you look at the Quran verses, how it is arranged, أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ. So there are 3 characteristics mentioned. تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, enjoining what is right, forbidding what is wrong, and believing Allah. So these are the 3 values that we need to have in order to be the best nation. There is a need for us to have the sense of what is right, what is wrong, and we need this atomic energy of Tawheed, if I may use that. All right. Tawheed is the nuclear energy. for cell transformation. Why I say this nuclear energy? Because if you remember, the Prophet ﷺ was sent. He was sent to a community of Jahiliyyah in the middle of the desert. I'm sure many of you go to Makkah and Medina, you see that Makkah and Medina was simply a desert. Nothing there. If you travel from Medina to Makkah, for example, or from Jeddah to Medina, you take the bus. What do you see? Nothing. Can you do something in the middle of the desert? That was the life and the time of the Prophet, and he was sent to. The Prophet was sent to in this, but he did not bring science and technology. He didn't bring like discovery of scientific discovery like Einstein and Newton. What he brought was an idea. The idea of Tawheed. It was Tawheed that has transformed that society, that individual, that family, community, nation, and continue to build civilization. That's why I say that Tawheed is having a nuclear energy. It's a very powerful energy. I have a time. Okay. All right. So that is number 3. Now I want to tell you a story. This is my personal experience. This is in February 2015. During that time, I was doing my doctorate, PhD, 2015. So I'm relatively young actually during that time. But I was invited to attend this meeting, this summit actually in Washington. And if you look at there is a President Obama, and I was sitting in the middle of it. I think somewhere here. If you zoom in, you can see it. This is a CNN picture I saw. I said, "Oh wow!" Okay. But there is a story behind this picture. In this conference, I met with this guy. He's an Israeli. He's a former national security advisor to Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel today. I'm so keen to meet him because I was sitting here and he was sitting on the other side of the aisle. And I looked at him and said, I must see him because I want to ask questions. He also a former of Mossad, the intelligence service. I asked him when I have a chance, let me ask you, Mr. Gupta, what is the secret? What makes Israel become best in the world in scientific knowledge? And he said that in Israel, we have a mindset, a certain mindset that makes us different from the rest of the world. I said, what is it? We believe that we are the best. And it is stated actually he said, in your holy book, it is mentioned. We are the best. We are the chosen people. I said, that's how, right? You think? I said, yes. They call it Jewish exceptionalism, the literature. So they believe in their greatness, say that once we become best. And we become the best, not for ourselves, we become the best for humanity. That was what he said in 2015. I don't see it right now. Right now, it's a different story. But I say that's fine. That's enough. And he asked me, young man, where you come from? I said, Malaysia. He said, wow. Malaysia. Why Malaysia always criticizing each other? I said, I don't need to answer your question. But you know it. And the rest of the world knows it. That's it. And I said, yeah. When I come back to Malaysia, it made me think that is that really the secret? And kept me thinking for quite some time. Read some books, 2 books. Okay, you can read this if you want to learn from that. These 2 books are quite interesting. One is the Startup Nation. The story is about how Israel transformed the desert into agricultural countries and exporting the rest, the product of the rest of the world. Amazing. There is another book. This equally interesting, but I think this book is more interesting. No Room for Small Dream by Shimon Peres. I know some of you don't like Israel and so on. I just want to provoke you lately by showing this book. Just to provoke you a little bit, there's the thing on the opposite side. There is something that we can learn from this. Even though they are so bad and vicious, but this same nation mentioned in the Quran, why is that so? There must be something that we can learn something from. That's the reason I mentioned it. Now, go back to here. He said that what makes Israel nation become the best is because we believe in our exceptionalism. We are the best nation and we want to serve humanity. So let us ask ourselves this question. How can we, or I as an academic, play our role to contribute meaningfully to humanity? I think that's the mindset. And I think we also can, if I can rephrase the question, how can I leverage on my expertise to contribute to the betterment of humanity? How can my research, publication, or engagement contribute to the betterment of society, nation, and humanity? How can I use my knowledge for the benefit of others globally if possible? How can I give value to others? I think this is the essence of the two books that I read. Because using the knowledge that we have, not because, you know why I mentioned this? Because some academics, they always think about promotion, getting promotion and getting higher and higher academic work. Of course, promotion is important. I don't say this not. But what more important is to what extent that the value that you create will impact others. I think that is actually much more important because you can achieve both. You can achieve promotion, you can achieve contribution. If you just focus on promotion, it doesn't mean that you will contribute meaningfully to humanity. I think that what makes the Jewish nation is different in terms of thinking as compared with the rest of the people. The mindset, the willingness and passion to serve humanity according to their class. And I think that personally, that what make me very envious with their scholars. They have this, I call this academic entrepreneurship. They have this skill. So, I want to conclude by sharing with you my story. You know, in school, I was in school in 1998. Maybe you were already in the university. I was in school in 1998, 1999. I was so inspired by IUN Vision Mission. I read, that's a book. Right. IUN will be the center of academic excellence that be able to contribute to the rest of the world. I'm inspired. So I tell myself, I'm going to come to UAE. Study. Well, I did. I joined UAE. In 99, I joined matriculation. Then I go on with the graduate. And people say, hey, why don't you go to UK and US? I say, no, I believe IUN will be the center of the academic excellence. I said, I'm going to study in UAE. I will be graduating from IUN. I am going. So I first pursued my master's degree, and later on, I'm doing my PhD here in ISTAC. Completed my doctorate. Now I was thinking, I don't have so much advantage as the rest of the people who has experience studying overseas. I have no networking, no experience. But I believe I say that IUM is no less excellent than the rest of the whole world. How can I contribute to the rest of the world? Or at least I will make my voice heard in the world. Well, I was lucky because my research is so interesting to some people. Then they said, okay, join my team. I will involve in certain project. That's why I end up going around the world. But let me share with you that because of that belief, if I mean, usually, most of the time, you will not have this opportunity. But I'm not sure whether I would say there's the barakah of the knowledge that I learned from the teachers in IUM, the dua, and bi'isnillah. My purpose of sharing the knowledge at the world level has achieved. It's one of the things that I attended that conference. But there are two pictures I want to share. These pictures. When I look at it, I don't really believe it that I can speak with this. You know, these are the key players in my industry. I'm just, you know, during that time, for your information, I was in matriculation center. I was from matriculation. I spent so long before I come to ISTAC. But during that time, I spoke in one of the big conference in Paris together with, I don't know, with the rest of the big players. And I feel very proud of this. Why? Because I said that I graduate from here. And if you look at the organization that I represent, I'm from IUM. And you look at the rest of the world, none of them actually from Poland. The second one is one. Last one, okay. There's a move. Okay, this one. Here is another picture that I said I will share my Islamic knowledge with the people here. So in this picture, there is they call it fellows representing the region in the world. And I think in the Southeast Asia, I am the only one from Southeast Asia, the rest from other part of it. What brings me here is the research. And with the purpose of, I said, I will find the ways, how can I be on par with the rest of the big players in the industry. So, brothers and sisters, I believe that you have more advantage than me in doing so. And you have the bigger chance of doing so. Let us do it. If I am just graduated from IUM, you stand a better chance of doing that. And this is my last quote. Every great civilization began with a single soul awakened, committed to truth, justice, and vision. That soul becomes the seed from which institution, ideas, and society grow. So we have to be the agent of change. Thank you very much.
MashaAllah, what a great talk. Yeah. So just to conclude a bit, yeah, we should start with a mindset, and it begins with us, each of us. You yourself change, then the rest of surrounding us will change. Yeah, that's the simplest thing that we have to do. Okay. And as talking about the books just now, the Israelites, the Israelites. Okay. If you keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. That's the justification for us to read the book, because to know their secret in order to beat them. Whenever we talk about Palestine, we talk about Gaza, right? It tugs our heart. But then in our first talk, we talk about the helplessness just now, the malaise, right? So that really keeps our heart at that space But here today, with this talk, I think most of us, we got a lot of input, and with to conclude this, let's start with ourselves. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Al-Muhammadi, for the very enlightening talk. Okay. Let's have question and answer. If anybody wants to ask questions, this is your time. Any questions? Okay. Dr. Muhammad, you can sit.
Okay.
Okay. The first question from Prof. Roslina.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Jazakallah khair for the talk today. It's really about the knowledge of the society, and also for highlighting the work of our as a director, crisis Muslim life. Actually, we also have another book earlier on, Islamization. And the first page talks about we Muslims always on the defensive side. So the Western always attack us till today, and then we defend. That's all. It's like we don't have a strategy to fight back. Okay, with regards to the Japanese, during the time of our former Prime Minister, his matter is that it's not just buying British last, okay, but also sebab a different perspective of new concepts in Islam. Okay? For example, till today, the Japanese define punctuality because if we define punctuality by ibadah, that people look at just ritual, for example, the call of azan, quickly prepare yourself so that you don't miss the first rakaat. Okay. But the things that people often miss the first rakaat, okay, I'm not talking specifically to any gender, but it's general. So the Japanese, they really implement the concept of punctuality everywhere, even in their technology, in terms of speed and also precision. Yes. Of course, when it talks about Japanese, I still have my scars, even though I'm not involved in the war when they came here to Tanah Melayu and also to Indonesia. The traces are still there in Indonesia, so it hurts, yeah, it hurts until today. But the younger generation, I'm talking about the younger generation, the new generation, something that we can learn about is the translation of certain concepts, the implementation of it in technologies. I think that's worth looking. But the one closest to our culture is Turkey. Yeah, not the time before, but the current time, because they do have both the civilization. So it's nice to visit, to tour Turkey, maybe take several times. And Turkey maintain the Europe and the Asian part geographically, right? So that means it's also another strategic place. And with regard to Prof. Tengku's answers just now, Muhammad Fatih, okay, there are many things that we can learn from Muhammad Fatih because that's the last caliphate, right? That really claimed Islam in their ruling, in their governance, right? But the thing is that they really absorb the Prophet traditions to every single detail, especially Muhammad Al-Fatih. So, but we today, we just quote Al-Quran and we are not well versed in Sirah. So you can see the sales of books on Sirah is not that very high, okay, in terms of volumes and numbers. So how many of us read the traditions of the Prophet and then now we are leaving the hadith behind? We know only Bukhari and Muslims. Right, so that's why, and then now also we are leaving the faith, whereas Imam Ahmad Hanbali said that in faith we have research. Just take haram, we can have sensor in the water for water quality, right? So the things that as you say, I agree with you, is the mindset. But there's another thing that when it comes to research, so that we can pass it to our students, I believe that we have to correct the assumption and let our students and even ourselves as researchers to look at the different perspective. Because some can afford to travel, some couldn't. But if they start reading the books that you have recommended, and also not forgetting our Muslim scholars, okay, we do have theories and also concepts. So if we can build a pool of perspective on certain problems, I think that would be fun. So I don't know. I would like to hear your comments too because you can have a different perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I agree with most of what you said. I want to assert more. I agree. Yeah, this mindset also actually in our religion. We are trained to think globally, not just to think locally. You look at the Quran verses always talk about al-alami. rahmatan lil alamin, for example, it's not rahmatan to a certain group. Thinking global, even though living in locality is very important, because even though if you live in the jungle, but you think globally, you will create different realities. So that's why you can see that people who are born in a very remote area in the village, but can be a global player later, Mandela, for example, because of the thinking and because of the passion, and because of the belief that uh, the best among you is those people who benefit from this. That's the hadith of the Prophet. So with that thinking in mind, I think that we can propel ourselves further. Then if not, then we can just like an average, everybody. Yeah, that's it. So thank you very much. Actually, my presentation is just to provoke you to think, to share your experience too, not just me. I welcome any more input, especially from our elders, our seniors here who has more experience. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Any more person who rise to the challenge of the provocation? Anyone pre-provoke? One more chance for question. Okay, yes, please. Is it?
You mentioned about recognizing focus that we look at this. It's linked to the application. And so in our administration activities. So basically we also have Japanese in one of our colleague Dr. Takumi. So do you think is it a successful the program proposed by Dr. Mahadi, especially in the context of ICT? Should we look at Dr. Takumi? What is your opinion? We just want to know your opinion. Thank you.
I don't know. I mentioned Mahathir because of number one, because of he has a long history of urban population, and he tried to do something different as compared to the previous prime minister. I have a great admiration to the old man, Mahathir, in spite of the political impact. But never mind, he tried to bring something good to Malaysia by looking at somebody, some country, some society closest to us. Japan used to be, really happened to be very close to us, and he tried to look at what Japan can do technologically, even in terms of culture, to try to do it. But if you read Mahathir's book, you can see that he mixed a lot of ideas from the West, from the East, and he formulated thinking that's why we can achieve this level of development. Thanks to him too, being despite he's no longer in the government right now, but he contributed a lot, not only to us, Malaysia, but also to the Muslim world. Us Muslim people, for example, or the other country. During this time, he brought out them to come to study, and from Africa to open up the doors. So if you go to Pakistan, you mentioned his name in Bosnia, right? So that is his value. I think he has done this part. How about us? What do we do? What do we do to the rest of the world?
Thank you, Dr. Ahmad, for that. Okay. We don't have more time for questions, but we will invite Dr. Ahmad for lunch. So yeah, during lunch, you can network with KICT, and we can network with you. Yeah, if the world don't come to, if we don't go to the world, let the world come to us. Okay. All right. So lastly, yeah, I have a few announcements. So before that, we will now present a token of appreciation. Yeah, to Dr. Al Muhammadi. I invite the Dean, Prof. Nko. Can you please Yeah, help to give the token of appreciation. Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah, we have reached the end of the morning session. Okay, lunch will be served at the banquet hall where you had your breakfast earlier. Yeah, finish your lunch as fast as possible. Then, if you have time, feel free to visit the art gallery and library. Library is nice. The art gallery is just downstairs. Yeah, for prayers, men, yeah, please reconvene at Masjid Zabedah, just behind here. Yeah, you can go outside from here or there. The masjid is there. Zohor is at 1:19 p.m. For the sisters, yeah, we can also solat in the masjid. Okay, however, for your wudu and all that, we have to go to the toilets. Okay, there is also a quite spacious surau downstairs, LG. So, if possible, yeah, we would like all the ladies also to solat in Masjid Zabedah. But if you feel more comfortable in the surau, you can do so. Okay, please reconvene here at 2 p.m. to start our takbir event. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Okay, wa akhiru da'wa walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Sadaqallahul azim. Then for today, for the morning fight. Okay. For the ladies, the committees will help you to go to the surau downstairs. Yeah, it's LG. Yeah, let's come in to the for our lunch first.